All right, so welcome again. I am Mel McCann. I'm the director of animation, but I am also an assistant professor. I teach a lot of the animation classes. So if you guys are coming in, you're going to probably have me at some point, which will be really fun. Okay, so just to give you an overview, we have different areas in terms of emphases of focus within animation itself. So EA does house a game concept, currently film that's changing next year, but animation also has a lot of things within it. So things we focus on are CG animation. We also do stop motion. We'll have a stop motion demo later on today from one of our adjuncts, Kevin Coyle, who's amazing. We do experimental animation. We also do what we call traditional or hand-drawn animation. And then there's also a bit of motion graphics tied into what we do, but we are mostly storytellers overall in our emphasis. So animation graduates work throughout the industry as designers, storyboard artists, fabricators, animators, and visual development artists. So in animation, you're not just focused on animation itself, but there's a lot of other areas that you get to touch. And our curriculum is built for you to have those experiences and get a sense of what it is that you want to do in this field, because there's so many avenues you can go down. In 2020, as it stated here, we were voted top 20 in the Midwest by Animation Career Review for top schools for animation. And we're the largest, EA's the largest department now at CCS, which is pretty exciting. But like I mentioned, these are the different areas of focus. And you'll also have other avenues to explore being at CCS, which is pretty cool. So in addition of having really great faculty who are industry focused and still work in the industry, I myself do freelance, so we're always in the know of what's going on, but we also have some really great facilities as well. So the lab that you're seeing here, this is the one that all the kids touch at some point. This is 008. So you can see we have our traditional animation desks, and then we also use Cintiqs and Macs and PCs as well for digital animation. So some of the software we use is Harmony, Toon Boom, and Storyboard Pro. We learn TV Paint. We've got Dragon Frame. You guys are offered the Adobe Suite being at CCS, ZBrush, Autodesk Maya, which is our 3D. And we also are dipping into Oculus, which is pretty exciting. As mentioned, we have Macs PCs, but we also have Cintiqs, which is a drawing medium that I use all the time, but that's available for you guys. And you can see some of those right there, and you just draw right on the screens. But we also have cameras that you can check out. There's also Cintiqs that you can check out and other equipment that you might need. We also have stages and, as mentioned, traditional animation desks. But we also have stop motion stages. And we offer maquette, which is handmade armature building, which is pretty cool. So with the EA department, we do have a lot of industry involvement. So a lot of times people are really surprised at how much access we have in the entertainment industry being in Detroit. But we have a lot of students and alumni that get that access to the industry outside of Michigan. So we take pride in keeping up with our professional practice. Like I mentioned, we're always staying in the know of what's going on. We're always working in our field. But we also stay in touch with studios and successful alumni and to create opportunities for our students. So what's great about CCS and the alumni is that we're kind of a little fam. So whenever an alumni hears like, oh, you went to CCS, oh, I gotta introduce you to, these people, or I need to, get your portfolio seen, or give you some feedback, or tell you about my experience of being at CCS. So what's nice is the community that you build here, not only within the school, because a lot of the people that you end up going to school with become people you work with, but also people that have been a part of this family are more than welcome to share experience and access to those that are at CCS, which is pretty cool. But we attend a lot of events when things are normal, which it seems like things are starting to get back to normal. So next year, we're hoping that we'll be able to participate in some of these events. So that can include the Creative Talent Networking Animation Expo, also known as CTN. It's based in Burbank in California. And we go out there, it used to be every other year we would go out. And what that's like is it's built to be an expo for people who want to work in the entertainment industry, to be able to not only meet, their heroes or meet their studios that they're really into, but get portfolio feedback and also get to see LA and Burbank and know that it's this real place that's achievable, that you're able to access, because it can seem like this imaginary land if you've never been. So with CTN, we also do studio tours. So usually, with CTN, that's not a guarantee. If you buy a ticket, that doesn't mean you're going to get a studio tour at Disney. But as mentioned, we, flex any sort of contacts or alumni that are in different studios, and we'll visit like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney Television, Stupid Buddy, and just to name a few. There's so many studios out there, some that you probably never even heard of. So it's pretty exciting. So you get to see what the studio experience is like. A lot of things are networking in our industry, so you can be really good at what you do. But a lot of times jobs are given just by someone that knows you or knows your work or met you. So this is important for you to get out there and network, and we're aware of that. So that's how come we're always trying to go to events like CTN. Another one we love to go to is the Ottawa International Animation Festival, which is the biggest in North America. So there, it's great because we get to watch a lot of really cool films that aren't typically made for commercial purposes. And with that, you get a lot of fresh perspective of what animation can do, what's on the cutting edge of what animation looks like. And you also get to network casually with people that are in the industry. So they have this thing called the Animators Picnic. So you'll see a picture of that in the lower right-hand corner. The last time we were able to go was 2019 for obvious reasons. But this is Rebecca Sugar here, who is the creator of Steven Universe. This is Brooke Kiesling, who is a recruiter at Bento Box, which is a studio that accommodates a lot of production for animation in the entertainment industry. And these are our students that are around them. So you can see that this is a really great casual moment where you get a chance to meet someone that might have been a hero of yours or influenced you, or might have been the motivation of why you went into animation in the first place, which is pretty exciting. And you get the chance to hear that they're human too, that they were students once too, and what their journey was like. And then over here, I didn't mention this. This is the Alumni Party at CTN. So what happens is these are a mix of folks that we took to CTN and people that are working in the industry that are alumni. So you can see this is a big family, and this isn't even all the people. And we always have a dinner when we go out, a great chance to network, show your stuff, get your experience, and make those connections that are going to be so valuable later on when you're working in the industry or trying to get your foot in the door. So you can see that even though we're in Detroit, we're in Michigan, and we're a 4-hour flight from California, that you're getting that exposure in the entertainment industry. But what's really cool too is that outside of California, Detroit has some really great studios that are up and coming as well, which I'll touch on in a little bit in the presentation. So if you're someone who's like, California might not be the place that I want to end up, there's a lot of success here in Detroit. So for example, I'm thinking of Kevin. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? I see Kevin Coyle just popped in. And Tyler Koberstein, who's an alumni from CCS, who is now a character designer at Nickelodeon. He's working here in Michigan. They offered him a permanent remote position, and he's really excited because he's like, oh my God, I can, buy a house out here. I can be close to my family, but I'm still working for the industry out in LA. So you never know where you can go or end up once you start working in the industry. So to continue industry involvement, we have an event which actually is happening pretty soon in April. It originally was called EA Expo, but now it's Industry Day. And so with Industry Day, this is where we invite the industry out to Detroit to review our students who are typically juniors and seniors. So the work is normally juried. So you have to submit your portfolio as a student to get looked at by faculty and get that permission to be able to share. But even the underclassmen, so freshmen, sophomore, they get the opportunity to participate and see what are the upperclassmen doing. And then also there's usually talks that we have with the industry professionals, and that's usually takes place on the second day of the event. So just to give you an idea of what kind of guests come out, back in 2019, when we were able to be in person and invite guests out, we had Floyd Norman from Disney come out before. We had Peter Ramsey, who was one of the co-directors on Into the Spider-Verse, Michael Makarowitz, who's a Pixar animator, and that's just a few. We've had, quite a few guests come out that give you that experience. And then also you get that one-on-one time to show your work and develop that connection. So down here, you'll see that this is in 2019, this was originally EA Expo setup. So this is an example of what we're going to be doing in April this year, because we're back in person. You'll have a wall and you'll be able to show the work that you've created. So this is Devin Law. He's actually doing biz dev for a game studio. So it's, again, that's why you see how EA is fluid in terms of there's different avenues you can go, but he originally did biz dev and animation. And this is his some of his concept work. He has a little portfolio here, and what would happen is our guests would come out, walk around, talk one-on-one with Devin. Devin would be like, here's my work, and be able to develop that connection during that event, which is pretty exciting. And then we also hold other things too. We have a lot of visiting artists that end up speaking, whether remote or in person. Sometimes we'll have workshops. We just had one recently with Steven Silver, who was the creator, the character designer for Kim Possible and Danny Phantom. So we're always inviting guests out to participate with our students. And this is an example of one called MoGraph Mondays, which is a local event. So as I was mentioning to you guys, we do have an animation industry here, and motion graphics is one of the biggest ones that we have in Detroit, since Detroit is a huge city for design. So a lot of ad happens out here. So you can see that this was an event we had where students were able to meet people that were working here in the animation industry, and then also see what opportunities there are locally to be able to, get some local internships or local work for those who might not have the accessibility to make it out to LA right away, or New York, or wherever their destination might be. So as mentioned, we have a lot of alumni connections and success. So this is just a snapshot of some of the studios that are that some of our alumni work at, and some connections that we have. But again, like I mentioned, you could be working from LA to New York to Detroit, and you'll be surprised at how many studios exist out there outside of what's being listed here. There is a lot of work for what we do. If you take advantage of your time at the school and develop that grit and always work to improve your creative output, there's no doubt that you will have the ability to find success in what we do. It's pretty exciting, the range that we have. But as I mentioned, we also have the local studios. So here's just a few of some of the local studios that we have. So this is Gunner here, which is one of the leading motion design studios in the industry. They're admired by a lot of companies. Yeah House, a little bit smaller studio, but really great work. They've done stuff for Adult Swim, Discord. If you ever bought any of those stickers, they animated all of those, just to give you an idea. And then Hook has done a lot of really great work with recognizable brands, First Bite as well, Armstrong and Pluto, just to name a few. So again, there's some really great resources here locally as well that have amazing connections with the college. So here's some alumni standouts. Just a couple of former students that are making a really big splash in the industry. First up, we have Jen Strickland, who is a storyboard director on Amphibia at Disney. If you ever want to check her out, you can see there's she did this little skit with Kermit the Frog, which is really fun, that talks about the creation of Amphibia. So I would recommend, when you have a second, go on YouTube, look up Jen Strickland Amphibia, and you'll find a really funny sketch that has her in it and shows some of her work that she's done. John Tribbett is a showrunner now for Middlemost Post. Don't know if it's I think it might have aired already, but it's a really fun show that's I think it's partially based off of some Michigan themes, but it's on Nickelodeon, and he was named one of the top 10 animators to watch by Variety, which is pretty cool. And then Chris Houghton, he ended up getting a major in illustration, but we offer minors at CCS, and he minored in animation, which really helped strengthen his portfolio and get him in the industry. But he was already a natural talent too. So he worked really hard and ended up having a show called Big City Greens, which you guys are familiar with. I think they're in their second season or might be in their third already, which is on Disney. So that's pretty exciting. But these are just a few. There's so many more. And you can check it out on our website if you want to learn a little more. So I want to show you guys our show reel for 2021. Let me adjust the settings so that way we can have some sound too and have it optimized for viewing. You guys hearing that okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So that's a collection of student work from the 2020 and 2021 academic year. And it's a range of freshman to senior level work. We'll probably get another repeat of it playing. Let me see if I can. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is just some student snapshots of some standout work that I love to share with you guys. So Dylan Marillo, he ended up graduating last year, but this was his junior project that he worked on. He developed a short film with 3D original models and environments. So he modeled the two characters you see here, which is the Wanderer, which is this big guy, and this is Canley, who's this grumpy little tuna can. And he also worked with another student, because collaboration is super important in animation, because most things are made by teams. Unless you're an independent filmmaker, most of the time you're working with a team of people. Even if you are an indie artist, you might end up bringing on some friends to help you, because you know, animation is a big undertaking. So he worked with another student to do the rigging of the 3D characters you see here. He storyboarded, wrote the story. I think it's about 1 minute or 2 minutes long. Did all the animation for it. Also worked with another student to develop some of the props that you're seeing in the background. And this ended up doing a festival tour, which was pretty exciting. So you never know where you're going to go. And again, with our curriculum, you get to touch a lot of different avenues. You get to touch 3D, you get to touch stop motion, experimental, traditional. It's kind of, the world is your oyster. So however you choose to make your way through it, it's pretty exciting, the different areas and outcomes that can be achieved with our students. The next one is a snapshot of Natalie Schultz, who was a student of Kevin Coyle, who's going to do the demo shortly. This was her stop motion set and armatures that she developed and shot with Kevin, and a little snapshot of her film. It's pretty cool. So we're one of the few schools that still do stop motion. So a lot of stop motion studios look to us to provide them some talent when needed. This is a snapshot of Michael Azar's senior thesis. Oh, it's a little laggy. Sorry, it's a big GIF. So this was his senior film, and he ended up getting into the Cannes animated or short film selection. So he's actually showing his film this year at Cannes, which is a really big deal. That's a really big festival. So I'm really excited for him. But he did a little story of a cat who, is just trying to survive and also is taking care of his imaginary family, it's really sweet. Oh, I lost my mouse there. There we go. So this here is a sponsored project that we did with one of the studios I mentioned to you, First Fight. They worked with us last year, and we developed a 15-week course that was focused on making a short film for their studio. So we brought in 15 students into the class. They came to us with a simple prompt and a little bit of ideation. And then the students and myself, me acting as a producer in the class, ended up creating a short film from pre-production all the way to production, which was pretty exciting because not only did they get to interact with the studio, Dylan, who was the student you had seen earlier on, who did the second film. There was 2 films total for the sponsored project. This is one of them that you're seeing, called Simulation. But Dylan worked on the other, which was called The Claw, ended up getting hired by them. So you'd be surprised at what this could lead to. And then this project here, Simulation, ended up providing opportunity for 2 other students with a different studio. So you'd be surprised at, having that exposure can get you credentials in your experience that is important and relevant when you're trying to find work after you graduate. So this was a really fun project to work on and a really great experience. And our Office of Partnerships is working hard to provide more and more opportunity for our students here, not just at CCS, but in the EA department as well. So with that, we've reached the end of this part of the presentation. So here is the little insights that was discussed. So I'll go ahead and let our host take back over, Eric, and he'll give you a little info, and then Kevin will come in to give us a demo of the stop motion lab. Eric, I don't know if you're speaking, but we can't hear you.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfect.
All right. Yeah, and I don't want to hold you up from Kevin's demo, so let's get through this real quick. So I just wanted to review our website with you for those of you who are not familiar yet and possibly considering applying to CCS. Of course, this is where you're going to do it. Can everybody see my screen share? You see the CCS here?
Yep.
Okay. So if you go to admissions and you slide over to undergraduate admissions, applying to CCS literally is as easy as 1, 2, and 3. You want to begin with the application, which if you scroll down here is this first box. Our application is free. There is no application fee, so it costs you nothing to apply, but a little bit of time to complete the application, about 20 minutes, in fact. Starting with that first allows us to have a digital placeholder for your other application materials as we receive them. And they would be your transcript, and there's information in the second box on how to get your transcript to us. And you are welcome to send unofficial transcripts, which simply mean that they come from you. If you do, be sure to send them to this email address here so you can cut and paste. If you're a high school student, oftentimes you'll find you can send your high school transcripts through Parchment or Clearinghouse. And then lastly, you want to upload your portfolio. This button here will take you to SlideRoom, which is a third-party portfolio service we use. You'll create an account and upload your work. Approximately 8 to 12 images is what you'll want to submit. Think of it as your show reel. It's the best of what you have. And by the way, it doesn't necessarily have to be animation. If you're doing animation currently, great. Feel free to submit that. But one of the things that we do ask for is an emphasis on drawing because animation is a drawing heavy major. So we want to make sure that you include drawing in your portfolio. There are, if you go back up to admissions and over here to portfolio requirements, tips and recommendations on how to prepare your portfolio for all of our majors. So not just animation, but other programs as well. And there's our non-drawing major recommendations. And then here's the recommendations for animation. And if you scroll back up, you will see that there are portfolio examples from students that had submitted prior to. Getting a little ahead of myself. All right, and I put a link in the chat if you are interested in additional information about the animation program at CCS. That's here under academics, and you slide down to animation, click on it. And here you will find examples of student work, our faculty who are all outstanding. We got a fine pedigree of faculty. Again, like Mel had mentioned, all of them working professionals. And then a curriculum chart. This will be an 8-semester sequence of the courses required to receive your Bachelor of Fine Arts degree with us here at CCS. And this plays a particularly important role if any of you are transfer students considering transfer. I am the transfer advisor, so I will work with you to make sure that we can get as many of your credits transferred over as possible. One other thing I want to recommend is if you're interested in visiting the campus, the best time to do that would be during an open house. The next open house we have coming up is going to be Saturday, April 9th. So you would go to visit and then undergraduate events. And scroll down once that populates. Computer's running a little slow this evening, so I do apologize for that. But this is where you would register for the on-campus open house. And the nice thing about attending an open house is it will give you an opportunity to not only attend presentations on admissions, career services, financial aid, but you'll be able to connect with anybody in any office who will be there to assist you as well as connect with your department. So that's a great opportunity to network, make connections, and meet some of the other students interested in the program. All right, I think that's all I have for you myself. So I will turn things over to Kevin. And Kevin, I think I need to set you up to screen share. So give me just one moment to do that.
I'll unmute myself too.
Okay, Kevin, you should be able to screen share. You're all good to go.
I'm the host now. I'm the co-host.
You are the co-host.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, everyone out there in television land. My name is Kevin Coyle, and I run the stop motion program here at CCS. And stop motion is far from being dead. You might think, oh, the computer is taken over. Oh, there's no more stop motion. Actually, right now is really busy. You know, Del Toro right now is shooting the guy who made The Shape of Water, right? And a few other films. He's shooting his Pinocchio up in Portland right now in stop motion. Henry Selick is shooting a feature in stop motion in Portland right now. Leica is shooting right now. there's many, and there's so many, when you watch TV, there's so many commercials that are done in stop motion nowadays. You've seen furniture flying around, clothes flying around, So I've done a lot of work on commercials, let me tell you. So I worked in LA at Screen Novelties and Stupid Buddy and Kyoto Brothers, Big Picks, Open the Portal, to name a few. Worked on a whole bunch of shows, including Celebrity Deathmatch, I Spy, the PJs, a lot of kid shows, a lot of commercials. But anyways, what I'm saying is that there is a big trend where kids, students are moving away from the screen and the keyboard, and they really want to make things with their own hands. And this is what we do here in this class. We make things, we make puppet animation. I teach two classes. One is stop motion 1, where you show up, that's a good start. And hopefully you have a little story in mind, and you maybe make a couple characters in a set. And we have two different kinds of characters. We have these are called build-up characters that start with wire armature and propoxy and wood. And we have these little, in the feet, these little 632 tie downs that hold them down. And then you keep building them up. Here's another one in the process of being built up. And then you costume them and sculpt the head. Super Sculpey, we use that a lot. One of our students, Super Sculpey, sculpted a walnut with 2 eyes. And then when you heat this up and bake it, it gets hard. And then we make molds of it. And then we cast molds. And now this is a really soft foam, this material. And so that's good for puppets, is to have really soft foam. So in this day and age, it's really, I tell students it's really good to wear many hats. If you're going out to LA, in the stop motion world, you could get a job being a puppet fabricator, meaning you're someone who fabricates puppets, puts them together, or you could be a lighting person, or a set designer, or a costumer, or a person who works with props, set dressing, or an animator. I was an animator, started out as a set dresser, but I've been a stop motion animating since the mid 90s. But anyways, so I tell students to wear many hats. And one of those hats is being a stop motion animator and being a fabricator. Those are two different hats, because like these people who work at Stupid Buddy Studios, I work with them on a show called Super Mansion. And they, all of the fabricators there are all working like crazy because they're all doing these costumes on this TV show where it's called the Masked Singer or something. You've probably heard of this, but who would have known that they'd be working on that? So I'm saying it's good to wear many hats in this day and age, to know After Effects, to know Premiere, to know all these things, and also be able to work with your hands too, because all of a sudden they may need a lot of people. So anyways, this is our studio. Right here, if you can see, we got some molds we were working on just now. Made out of different plaster molds and also smooth on product molds. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Pratham, one of my fine students from India. He is making a little film, and see his what happened.
We're still good. We can hear you, Kevin. You're good, and see everything.
Can you see us?
Yep, we can see you.
Oh, I can't see me though. Well, because I can't, I want to be able to show you the people. Let me try to get rid of this. How do I, hang on, Pratham to the rescue.
I'll just add some color commentary. Kevin, this is
Hang on.
fabulous. You're the first department to do a tour of the department. So great
Oh, well,
idea.
Well, it's really fun. That's the thing is when people, should I just start with the Zoom link again? Okay, I'm going to start again here. Hang on, I'm going to press this button and start over. Allow.
Yeah.
There I am. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Pratham. But see, Pratham has got a shoot table there. I'm sorry, I can't see very well with this. But see his shoot table right there? So everyone has these 4x4 shoot tables that they build their sets on. He's doing a 7-Eleven. And he's got all these characters and funny stuff. These are all, everything's a mess now because all the students are working, which is really good. They're all making puppets. Oh, here's, let me show you this. This is a picture of a puppet. And then you can see, we make life-size drawings of the puppets. And then we have to put the skeleton in made out of armature wire, etc. But here is all of our smooth on products, which is for mold making. And so we have 2 rooms. This room is a really nice big room for fabrication, to make your set and to make your puppet and whatever crazy thing you might also want to make. Now let's walk into the other room where the real magic happens. This is what we call our stop motion shoot room. And here I'll give you a whole look at things. But I wanted to turn on a light here for you because this is a really neat set. So let me do this. Let me turn on a light. Hang on. Here it is. And that's the special. And then we're going to turn on this fill light here. So she's doing a set. I don't want to really get. I mean, I'll do a little demo, but she's as you can see, she's in the middle of shooting hot set. Do not touch. But this is the program she is using. Just hold it up here. It's called Dragon Frame. And she's right in the middle of a shot. There's no dialogue. But oh, looks good. Start again. But see, Dragon Frame, you can go back and forth and find out where you are exactly. And you go backwards and forwards. So you know how the motion works. And then your exposure sheet is up there. You see? There's your exposure sheet, tells you what frame you're on and everything. And this is what we use, Dragon Frame 5. It's really great. All the shows use, like every show uses this because this was made by stop motion animators. So this is her set. She's doing an excellent job. Now let me show you this set over here, ladies and gentlemen. This is very cool. This is our attic set. Let me turn on the light here. This was made by a student a couple years ago, but he just left it here. Oops, light's in the way. Oops, the light's in the way. Dang. You see, there's this really great attic he's made. Really good detail. and we pull a blue light.
Oops, I think we froze for a sec. But you can see that these sets are, much smaller in scale than what you would anticipate when watching stop motion. But the illusion is created with where the camera is placed and how they're shooting. So we got to see a quick animation of the character moving in the stop motion space. And the student moved that character frame by frame and shot it with the camera to create the illusion of movement. So just to give you a sense of, the range that you can go in with our department, stop motion is one of the exciting avenues that you can go down.
And like the overall look of stop motion is dependent on the individual artists. And that's one of the really cool things I think about it is that a lot of the studios that are in Los Angeles sort of think of us as the stop motion school, but the industry itself is really tiny. So it's really specialized people and people that really, really love it. So there's CCS grads at every stop motion studio at this point. And every time we go out to Los Angeles, as Mel was saying, we always go visit those. And there's always just these few diehard people. So it's a wonderful sort of little thing. And having Kevin here is amazing because not only his experience, but his enthusiasm and being able to help people adapt their own creativity to work in stop motion. When you learn to animate, based on timing and motion, and you can port those ideas to almost anything, whether it's a physical thing or working digitally or working with drawings.
I should make introductions real quick. So this is Steve Stanchfield. He's one of our faculty members who teaches animation as well. And then Josh Harrell joined us, who is also another full-time faculty member who also teaches animation. We all touch all the different classes and specialize in different areas. So this is some of the other faculty that you guys will interact with going to CCS. And they're all incredible people. These guys taught me, so they must be good. No, just kidding. But no, they're brilliant. They're brilliant, and our department's wonderful.
What's funny about animation is I don't know if you necessarily, I know I always say this, you don't know if you necessarily teach someone animation. You show them a lot of the ways to do it, and then they take all those principles and adapt it. And we're looking at your stuff like all the time and making little suggestions, sometimes big suggestions, and then sometimes you vehemently disagree with us. And that's one of the great things about art is that it's subjective, and that once those principles are there, like once you figure out how to communicate, then you kind of go on your own and you figure it out. It's really cool. It's one of the things I love most about it.
Yeah, and we're, like I was saying, we're fam, but we are really fam when being in school. Like you do get those one-on-one interactions with the faculty, which is really great. I also love to see that you're mentioning your voice is very important. So if you're looking at all the sample work we showed you, I'm sure you guys remember a couple of years ago where there was this whole thing about the CalArts look. And I think CalArts is an amazing school, but one thing that differentiates us is that, that we're always trying to champion individual aesthetics or influences, because we want you to push yourself in that area. Because a lot of time recruiters, you might be good at technically drawing, or you might be a good animator or a board artist. But if you're not showing your point of view, you're less likely to get that pick, because they want to find the thing that makes you different from the 20 other portfolios that they looked at from other colleges or from CCS. So that's why that's something we're always working to push, is that you have a point of view, you have an aesthetic. We'll work with you to, of course, improve or add that extra polish when needed. But that's something that we are really proud of, I think.
Mel, if I can piggyback on that. So my background, I've been in higher ed for 30 years. I've worked for 2 other art and design colleges. I worked at the Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida, was pretty well known for their character animation program. And you'd mentioned CalArts, and they do 2D because they're related to Disney. They got that Disney connection. But you made a point, we're kind of the go-to school for stop motion. And these other two schools, if you're not a 2D animator or you're not a 3D character animator, that's not what they do. I mean, they do one or the other, but we do everything. And we allow you to find your authentic voice in whatever it is that you excel in. And you may not even know what that is right now. So part of your college experience is the journey and the discovery. So you have the opportunity to discover from all these different avenues to find out which is the best fit for you.
Yes, well said. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Sorry, Mel. I was going to say, like, one of the things that I really love about the department most is that not only don't we have a house style, but there's always somebody doing something in a different way, in an innovative way. And now there's commercial houses that are set up in Detroit, and those commercial houses are full of CCS grads. So now when we have guests come in, there's somebody that's come out of the department a lot of the time. So like watching that grow, and especially watching people come in, I think that a mistake that a lot of art schools made for many years was trying to teach students to not draw in an anime style, when that was already starting to be like one of the biggest influences on the industry. And now we're at a point where you can see those influences just combine. And something that we see in our student work all the time is people coming in with either anime influence or other influences. And they have work that looks a lot like those shows when they start at the school. And when they come out, they've got their own combination of these things, which is, I think, really pretty cool. And now we're watching that really influence what's happening in the industry, especially on Netflix now.
Yeah, for sure. You can see all my anime trash. And we're all nerds too, honestly, in a good way. Like we all are, that's what I'm an alumni from CCS. And one thing I already mentioned that they taught me death. But one thing that I loved about it was that everyone was watching the same things or into the same things. And going from high school, or for me, I went from a community college and transferred in. So I was a transfer. It was really fun the transfer was easy, by the way. And everyone was so accommodating and helping me figure out, what do I need to add for my portfolio? How can I get a higher scholarship? Blah, blah, blah. So we have a really great resources here at the college for that. But anyways, what was so exciting was I was like, oh, everyone loves the same thing that I love. Everyone's into the same thing. And also everyone around me pushed me to be better. Like I remember the first class I took, which is one you'll take, is called Creative Viz. And I remember going in and the first day we had to do a drawing, storyboards. And I remember going in, and I was the best at my high school. I went to a public high school. I went to Fenton, which is not that far from here, like an hour from Detroit. And I remember going in and I looked around and I'm like, oh, everyone is the art kid. Everyone is so good. But I went home that weekend and just hammered out this fully rendered storyboard sequence. And just having those people around me push me to like my thinking, my storytelling, my output really made a huge difference. And I think that, I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for CCS, honestly. It was a really great experience. So it's great because you have all these people that are thirsty for the same things, but everyone's always supporting each other in those areas.
I think the emphasis on experimentation is one of the coolest things about the school. And Josh is here. Josh is in charge of the experimental side of the program, as well as the junior studio, which are the junior studio is the workshop for learning how to actually make completed full projects. And so Josh's role, though, also has this experimental thread running through it almost the whole time. And so if you go to visit, like for you that are interested in the college, if you went to visit one of Josh's classes and you're in one of the reviews of work, which happen all the time, then you never know what the next thing you're going to see is, because it might be designed, especially in the experimental class, because it might be designed along an assignment, or it might be somebody just going off in some weird direction, which I think is the coolest thing. But I'll let Josh take over from there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, when we're looking at experimental class, there are certain little guidelines. I like to think of them as a tether, like you're an astronaut, and you have a little tether that says, okay, this is as far as I will go for now, and I'll push off and see where I can go. And then when you have your jetpack, after you really kind of figure things out, then you can take that tether off and kind of go all over the place. And the same is true with animation projects. We try to go through the whole process of making your short film, from pre-production through production and post-production, so that you have your fingers on, at least one time while you're there, a project all the way through, so you understand how the parts kind of work together and find the areas that you're really interested in working in. And sometimes it's a dry run for people's thesis projects. Sometimes they figure out, oh, I don't really like this way of making something. And, you know, sometimes they do a 180 in the middle. I had a student 5 or 6 years ago who started his project. He loved his story, but what he was making was 2D animation, and he just wasn't loving how it was turning out. And then he discovered that, oh, we have stop motion. I want to make this stop motion now. And he went from, you know, going about 10 miles an hour to 150 miles an hour. He just really loved, you know, he was also a sculptor to begin with. And I guess it just took a minute for him to go, wait, this is what I want to do. So, and there was a question in there about content. And I mentioned that before. You know, I don't encourage violence for violence sake. I don't encourage anything for just the sake of having it in there. When you're making your films, it's your film. It's something that you want to say. So it's not my film, it's your film. And I hope that, you know, wherever you're making films, you're able to have that opportunity to make the film that you want to tell.